The human race is one of the wonders of the universe. We may be unique. And of all our remarkable properties, one stands out. It is that we are restlessly drawn to ask questions like, why are we here? What is the purpose of life? The great civilizations and cultures of the past came up with various answers, all unsatisfying, because they were made up rather than being properly investigated. So, can science come up with something better? I think so. It may sound presumptuous, but I believe science can tell us why we are here, tell us the purpose of human existence. The answer is an optimistic and inspiring one. For most of the 500,000 years of human existence, we have been unable to answer the question of why we are here. It was only 150 years ago that science first tried to find an answer. In 1859, Charles Darwin published a book that changed the world. When Darwin first got up the courage to publish The Origin of Species, it shook the spiritual foundations of his age. Victorians had to come to terms with an entirely new set of unwelcome relations. We've got over it now. Most of us are happy to teach our children that we are descended from apes. We are apes. But I believe Darwin has another message for us, one that could be frightening if we let ourselves be intimidated. But it's exciting and uplifting if we have the courage to face it. Not only did Darwin provide the answer to the question how we came to exist, I believe his theory provides the only answer we're ever likely to get to the ultimate question, why we exist. What is the purpose of life? There are some 10 million species on Earth. The displays here at the Natural History Museum in Oxford represent only a tiny fraction of them. But before Darwin, no one knew how animals came to be so varied or so complex. Every last detail of every creature's body and behavior seems exquisitely tailored to its environment. The platypus's webbed feet are built for efficient paddling, and its duck bill is a radar, electrically sensing its prey in the mud. As for the cheetah, its sleek and nimble body is a formidable machine for catching prey. For centuries, people tried to understand why animals were so perfectly equipped for their tasks. They assumed that there was only one explanation. The natural world was designed, and the designer was God. The Reverend William Paley, writing half a century before Darwin, put the case with his famous watchmaker argument. Imagine, Paley said, taking a walk on a heath. If you came across a rock, you wouldn't be surprised. The rock might have lain there forever. It doesn't need explaining. But a watch on the heath would demand an explanation. Its existence and complexity would require a big explanation. The intricate precision of the cogs, the accuracy with which it keeps time, these are evidence that the watch must have had a designer, a watchmaker. Surely, Paley went on, no less is required to explain the even greater complexities of nature. There must be a divine watchmaker. If I had read Paley in 1802, I would have agreed with him. But now things are very different. Charles Darwin has given us a much neater, more self-sufficient, and therefore more satisfying explanation. Darwin argued that there was no designer. And at first sight this seems like a ridiculous idea. Like Paley's watch, plants and animals appear to be staggeringly improbable combinations of their component parts, all working towards one end. Take the nuts, bolts, cogs and springs of a watch and recombine them at random as many times as you like. Only one arrangement tells the time. As the astronomer Fred Hoyle put it, the possibility that the parts of a living organism would spontaneously come together by sheer luck is about as likely as a hurricane blowing through a scrapyard spontaneously assembling a Boeing 747. So how does nature do it? Even a fly is arguably more complex than a 747. If there is no designer, how did the complexity and variety of life come about? There's a clue to how the process works in many people's back gardens. There aren't many times when the pigeon has played a starring role in science, but it was this commonplace bird that started Darwin on his journey of discovery. Darwin noticed that pigeon fanciers were able to breed new varieties. By carefully selecting mates, they had turned the ordinary pigeon into dozens of weird-looking birds with weird-sounding names. There were fantails, Jacobins, short-faced tumblers, and a score of other varieties. Darwin knew these all originated from one bird, the rock dove. And the pigeon breeder, Pat Pratt, can demonstrate that Darwin was right.
If our fancy pigeons are allowed to breed as they like without any intervention at all from us, then in no time at all they will revert to this wild type. Usually the first or second crosses from our fancy pigeons will show some return to the drab blue colouring of the rock dove.
The effort to create different types is called artificial selection. But perhaps, Darwin reasoned, a similar process could occur in the wild. But how could selection work in nature without a divine pigeon breeder to do the work?